The long and enduring court battle for the Microsoft-Activision deal seems pretty much over. The largest acquisition in tech history, valued at nearly $70 billion, is basically a sealed deal after the US Federal Trade Commission lost in court against Microsoft. I don't think this needs to be said, but it's a pretty huge deal that this has basically worked out. Now, there are some more updates about this situation, and I really want to discuss what's coming next for Activision and Microsoft and my speculations about what impact this will have. As we know, Xbox has been in a bit of a slump over the past few years with its exclusive content, but it has excelled in some other avenues like Game Pass. Phil Spencer did recently admit that PlayStation is winning the so-called console wars, so it'll be interesting to see what impact Activision being part of Microsoft will have on the console market for sure. So the US FTC has been trying hard to get this deal to not work out. According to the FTC, they are concerned that the acquisition will hinder competition in the gaming industry. Their arguments were especially concentrated on Call of Duty and cloud gaming. However, other regulators globally have allowed the deal to go through. The last two standing were basically the FTC and the UK's Competition and Markets Authority. A few days ago, a judge ruled in favor of Microsoft against the FTC. Basically, it was said by the judge that Microsoft has shown a commitment to keeping Call of Duty on other systems in reference to the Nintendo 10-year deal, and Microsoft has apparently shown nothing to indicate that it would hinder competition and other platforms' access to Activision's content. Following this ruling, the CMA basically agreed to negotiate with Microsoft in the hopes that the deal will be approved eventually in the UK as well. The FTC did file an appeal against Microsoft regarding the previous decision, but the appeal was denied. This is a major win for Microsoft in this battle, as the deal seems like it will definitely close anytime soon, but it may close a bit later than expected because of the UK's current situation. The House Committee is also trying to cut 25% of the FTC's government funding following the judge's ruling, because the House Committee apparently felt like Lina Khan's handling of the entire thing was a complete waste of time. All that's left now is the UK, and if the CMA approves the deal, then it will close there as well. However, if the UK does not budge even past negotiations, then Microsoft will probably have to readjust and cut the UK out of the deal. What this would mean is that Microsoft and Activision will remain separate companies in the UK. Currently, the UK Competition Tribunal has allowed a 2-month pause for legal proceedings to allow a negotiation between the two to take place. Microsoft and Activision are also in talks to extend the deal as well in lieu of the UK's news. Honestly, it's been approved of everywhere else, so I'm not sure what the UK is still holding on to, honestly. I have a feeling that with all these wins in the US, that it is inevitable that the deal will close in the UK as well. PlayStation has also signed a 10-year agreement with Microsoft to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation consoles, but this deal only applies to Call of Duty. This means that any other Activision game is not guaranteed to launch on PlayStation in the future. But I guess that's expected from Microsoft acquiring Activision. They likely want some exclusives of their own from this. Now, a lot of people have a lot of opinions regarding this entire thing, as is expected. Some people are of the opinion that this is a good thing and that it will help Xbox out. Others don't like this and are afraid of what this could entail for things like the future of Call of Duty releases. Whatever the situation ends up being, there are definitely a lot of things that we can speculate and expect from this deal. Some people are afraid that this would potentially start leading to an acquisition war between Sony and Microsoft, wherein they just start acquiring companies and studios left and right. Other people say this is unrealistic. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, I'm going to get into some of my own speculations, but firstly, many people are expecting that Call of Duty will eventually make its way to Xbox Game Pass, and I find it pretty interesting that Xbox matchmaking for classic Call of Duty games like Black Ops 2 and MW3 were fixed recently as well, because I can definitely see some of these older Call of Duty titles for sure coming to Game Pass. It would honestly be the smart move to make, considering that it would bring a ton of people to Game Pass, and it would honestly be a net positive for Microsoft to do for the Xbox brand. Now, I have no idea if new and future Call of Duty games will be out on Game Pass. According to the CMA, it's predicted that Call of Duty will be on Game Pass starting 2025, and this applies to any new release. So 2023 and 2024 will likely be standard Call of Duty releases, but 2025 will probably release on Game Pass day 1 too. For now, I'm assuming perks for Xbox Xbox users will be in store, and older Call of Duty titles will probably eventually make their way to Game Pass at some point in the future. In terms of mobile game offerings, Xbox would definitely get a boost in that department. Activision makes famous mobile games like Candy Crush, so these would all be owned by Microsoft with this deal. Plus, Xbox expressed some time ago that it is interested in something like an Xbox mobile storefront, which is much more possible with Activision, seeing as Activision could make mobile games for this storefront. Activision also has the Diablo IP and Overwatch, so it's probably likely that Diablo will also be available on Game Pass in the future, and we all know that Overwatch is free to play now, but that doesn't mean that Xbox can't get its own perks with Overwatch under its ownership. A lot of the findings from the trials and this whole fiasco are pretty interesting as well. It was apparently revealed that Xbox projected it would make up to 10 million sales for Starfield on PlayStation, but it decided that it would go for an exclusive title and that they will release it on Game Pass day one, projecting that this would offset that instead. And if Starfield is a great exclusive for Xbox, I assume more people would be willing to subscribe to Game Pass or potentially even get an Xbox. Plus, there's no telling if other Bethesda titles like the next Skyrim will even release on PlayStation, and we all know that Skyrim is one of the most well-known, popular games ever made. I think a lot of people would be willing to subscribe to Game Pass or buy an Xbox for it, or even a PC. The current Xbox model is definitely not pushing towards console sales though, and it seems like Xbox is 100% pushing for Game Pass and the Xbox brand, which does align with what they expressed some time ago. And this makes total sense when you think about it from a business perspective, since subscriptions seem to be the future of most services, now for better or for worse, but Xbox investing in Game Pass by acquiring something as massive as Activision will probably pan out in their favor. What's for sure is that the biggest acquisition in tech history is one step closer to being completed. And that's a massive deal for Microsoft and the tech industry as a whole. I hope that Activision starts producing good Call of Duty games again with this move, because Call of Duty has unfortunately been falling down a bit. I would love to see something like Black Ops 2 get remastered, you know, some of those classic Call of Duty titles get remastered multiplayers. I mean, if those were available on Game Pass, I feel like a lot more people would even want to, you know, subscribe to Game Pass at that point just to get a remastered, you know, experience of Black Ops 2. You know, I think everyone pretty much agrees at this point that Black Ops 2 was a peak Call of Duty game. I mean, I love MW2 2009 a lot, but I can't, like, deny that Black Ops 2 is, you know, golden, no questions asked. This news is pretty insane, honestly. I mean, I had a feeling from the start that the acquisition would go through, even through all like the difficulties Microsoft was facing with all of these regulators. I had a feeling, like, I knew it was going to work just because Microsoft has like $1 trillion market share. It's a huge company. Like, there's no way it wasn't going to make it through this whole thing. But I mean, we have yet to see what's next for the two companies, so let me know what you all think of this news in the comments below. And with that being said, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed that video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on to all so you never miss out on a single upload. Don't forget to check out our website for gaming news, entertainment, and more. The link to that, as well as all of our other important links, are in the description below.